Hello, New Zealand. It is good to be back 2 weeks away. Well, it was a great break, but always nice to be back in the hot seat talking to you. And don't forget, note that side, if you are watching this on YouTube, then make sure you like it, subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get notified when we do come live. Anyway, I got so much to cover this morning. In fact, we're going to cross live to well, sort of live. Actually, I better not lie. We recorded it, but I've only just received it, loaded it, and we're going to catch up with where Simon O'Connor is this morning. So let's get straight into it. Welcome to Daybreak. Yes, it is Monday, 6th of October, start of a new term. And look, I have to just put this one up. Here we go. This is Ian. He says, oh, where did it go? Daybreak is back. I have withdrawals. Awesome, it's back. So there we are. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate the endorsement there. I am seeing some of your comments coming through on, if you are on Family First Facebook and on YouTube, then I do see your comments come through. Anyway, I've been away for 2 weeks. Simon O'Connor was away last week, you probably noticed, and he is actually in Utah. And earlier this morning, he sent through this report. So, yeah, let's say hi to Simon.
Hi everyone, and particularly to you, Bob. I thought I'd send this message to you and through you if you want to use on Daybreak or wherever. But hello from Orem, in fact from Utah Valley University, which is where sadly Charlie Kirk was killed. Rachel and I found ourselves only 5 minutes away from actually where he was shot and killed. So we've come to visit and to pay our respects. And we were at one of the outer memorials here, and if Rachel pans the camera, you'll just see hundreds and hundreds of flowers and flags and messages. In fact, Rachel's just left a little message beside us here. And behind us, which you won't be able to see, but there are little rock cairns lining all the motorway, which is quite amazing. And off to my right, probably your left on the camera, is actually where he was shot, the shooter from the Losay building and so forth. So we've gone there again, more memorials, and just streams of people coming through to pay their respects. So we're here, so it wasn't our intention to come here specifically. We're here for a conference, Rachel and I, on, of all things, religious freedom. But as I say, with it being 5 minutes down the road, we felt it was important to be here and, of course, to share it with you, the Solid Ground, the Daybreak, the Family First crew. So blessings to you. Look forward to seeing you back in New Zealand soon.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Simon. Safe travels, and we'll see him back in the hot seat for Solid Ground next week. Speaking of the Charlie Kirk, I was in the United States over the past 2 weeks, and as you walked past newsstands and newspaper stores, this was the front page after the memorial. I forgive him, which is, incredibly powerful words, three words that rang around the world, and a really powerful part of the memorial. And being in the United States, there was live coverage. I think you probably got it back here in New Zealand as well. Lots of speakers. I think one of the largest attended memorials in history. Would that be correct? I did notice that our very own Radio New Zealand managed to find one commentator who was able to say that the Pacific's response, all our Pacifica people, apparently their response was delusional religiosity. Yeah, that's a term for you. They managed, Radio New Zealand, this is taxpayer funded, so you paid for this, by the way. They managed to find one commentator, a Samoan, Fijian American writer who you've probably never heard of, Marley Wesley, is it? She argued that Kirk's conservative views, anti-immigration, well, he's anti-illegal immigration, anti-queer, pro-policing, pro-empire, run counter to the values of the Pacific communities, now warning him. She said, "We are a people who have endured land theft, blackbirding, nuclear testing, deportation and exile. Yet again and again we align ourselves with those who uphold the very systems that shrink us." Wesley suggested the outpouring of grief was not just about faith, but obedience. Yes, apparently Pacifica mourned the assassination of Charlie Kirk out of obedience. Obedience drilled in by mission schools, reinforced in pews, and exported through migration. Wow, this Marley sounds like she just needs lie down in a cup of tea. So anyway, that was one of the worst parts. It was available. The memorial was available online apparently. The other sad news during my time overseas, and it really did shock me actually, and that was the death of Voddie Baucham. And Dr. Voddie Baucham obviously has written some fantastic books, Fault Lines, and It's Not Like Being Black, how sexual activists have hijacked the civil rights movement. And this is a photo of when I interviewed him, and we held a pastor's briefing. Was it April in Auckland? And so we had this photo. Lovely man. He had his 2 sons with him. Obviously, he's had some difficulties, heart difficulties. But somebody did track down this little message that he put out prior to his death, talking about that one day you will hear that Voddie Baucham has died. And this is what he said.
You are going to hear a rumor one day that Voddie Baucham is no more. Don't you believe it? Don't you believe it? Don't you believe it? Because though I die, I will rise with Christ. It will not be the end of me, because Christ is raised, and I too will be raised with Christ. That is why he is called the firstborn from the dead. Folks, you don't talk about a firstborn unless there's others who are born after him. Don't you pity me. You pity the one who wants to hold on to Jesus without holding on to the resurrection. You pity the one who has absolutely no hope because they have no resurrected Christ.
Yeah, well, great message, isn't it? So we don't mourn with Voddie because he is in his heavenly home, but we do mourn with the family, his wife and children as well, those who have lost him. So, after Charlie Kirk and then the death of Voddie Baucham and John MacArthur, was it earlier in the year? We've certainly lost some real Christian church leaders, haven't we? Right, let's have a look at some of the news items that I just grabbed this morning, just very briefly, because there's a whole lot to go through that I want to get through, and I'm not going to get through all of it this morning, so I'll carry some over to Wednesday morning. This was one of the lead stories in the New Zealand Herald. Apparently, the Auckland CBD, the businesses say that the Auckland CBD, Queen Street and all those places we used to love going, but now we're too scared to go. It's lawless, it's unclean, lots of drug use and begging, a scathing survey. And the one question I just had was, who's the local MP for Auckland? Chloe. Are we surprised? Are we surprised? This is what happens if the Greens are in charge of law and order and business. It'll be a lot more like that. It'll be like a typical democratic state just about in the US. Also in the media on the left is Radio New Zealand, with some research saying that the majority of New Zealand adults support social media bans. This is out of a Ipsos Education Monitor survey of 30 countries. 72% of New Zealanders in the survey said it should be banned for under 14, which is in line with the global average. Look, the big question is, how do we ban it? How do we do it without compromising or enforcing digital IDs onto adults? I understand that debate that's going on, but I think the fact that you've got almost 3/4 of people around the world saying there is a problem is a major advance. And then on the right-hand side, you've got the article from the Christchurch Press, where people are concerned about young people being targeted by pervasive online marketing of products such as tobacco, alcohol, vaping, and gambling. And it also found, this is a bit where I think maybe be a bit careful how you read this. It said it also found children are being exposed to harmful content such as body shaming, self-harm, hate speech, and alt-right content. Yes, no concerns about far-left content or sexualization, LGBT, radical gender ideology, Marxism, critical theory. No, none of that, but it's just all the alt-right stuff. So, maybe be careful when you read that. But I think the good thing is that there is concern about with what children are being exposed to online. We're no longer got our heads in the sand. We're now trying to figure out a solution. Now, what else did I have? Oh, yes, credit to Chris Penk from National, who's the Minister of, what is he, Small Businesses or something? Yeah, Small Business Minister. He's basically been concerned that Facebook has been banning businesses and they've been wrongly suspended off Facebook or Instagram. And so he's had a meeting with Meta, and basically businesses have said that, you know, if they get banned from Facebook, as maybe some of you have been and you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else or on X, they're concerned that, you know, who do you appeal to? And if you appeal to Facebook or Instagram, you're just stonewalled by automated appeals and bots, etc., instead of people. And what Chris Penk has arranged with Meta is that there is a special avenue for businesses to be able to appeal these bans. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty good solution. Have you voted in the local body elections? Don't the results come out this weekend? Bit of a yawn fest. We're going to discuss that on Straight Talk tonight. But a Israeli-born election candidate was dumped by her ticket. She's standing in a ward in north of Auckland, I think it was. They said it was because of her anti-Israel, basically because she was Israel-born, because she was Jewish. And she's actually been interviewed by Simon O'Connor because she's a bit of a motivational person. They talked about resilience, you know, that radical aspect of resilience. And when the group that dumped her were asked why they dumped her, no, they didn't mention the Israeli-born aspect. They said it was because she had been associated with Family First. That was their smokescreen. And when people pushed back on that and said, well, what's wrong with that? It then seemed to come down to the fact that she was Israeli-born, and, you know, quite concerning. I also saw in the Rotorua mayoral race that the current mayor, Mayor Tapsell, she expressed concern if a councillor who was opposed to drag queens in libraries and children being exposed to that LGBT content was re-elected. Yeah, so if you're in Rotorua, maybe do a little bit of homework on your current mayor and views around that whole issue. And the other one I saw was the Wanganui mayor. The Wanganui mayor turned up to a vigil for Charlie Kirk and wanted to condemn political violence and support free speech. And he said, I went naively to an event I got invited to, but he regrets going. Had I realised he was a divisive figure, I wouldn't have gone. Yeah, so he got pushback, despite the fact that he wanted to stand against violence and in support of the right to free speech. He got pushback because some people didn't like Charlie Kirk, and so suddenly he said, oh, maybe I shouldn't have turned up because he was divisive. Mayor, everybody is divisive. Everybody has views, and everybody disagrees with views that you hold. That is life. So, yeah, that was interesting. Study out of the US over the weekend shows that only 28% of Americans trust the news in America, which that's a bit of a low, isn't it? Although, of course, here's the latest one from New Zealand earlier this year. We're 32. So we're only just slightly ahead, and that trust has really gone down. But don't worry. If you're worried about trusting the media, TVNZ commissioned its own report on whether it was biased. TVNZ commissioned its own report, appointed its own reviewers, got its own report, then summarised its own report and released its own report saying that they're not biased. But they won't release the whole report. And if you trust that, then I have a bridge to sell you. In fact, there were some very funny memes going around as a result of that. I'm going to do a blog on this and give you 15 reasons why you shouldn't trust this report with examples of bias in the One News. But there was this funny meme going around, this one.
We lied to you during COVID. We were paid off by Jacinda. Now we lie about the climate.
Yeah, anyway, there was a few funny ones. And look, there was an example of a terrible interview, but I'll show you on Wednesday because I am running out of time. I do want to cover this. Sunday Star Times yesterday. The editor said that we need uncomfortable journalism. And she says, quote, In a world where it's easy to find a sympathetic echo chamber, any view in the media that challenges or rejects someone's own worldview is a source of suspicion, frustration, and anger. The anger is validated by politicians who, since the rise of Facebook and other platforms that connect them directly with voters, have sought to undermine trust in the media. It suits them to diminish the media's reach and influence in its role as a watchdog on democracy. Yeah, so the editor of the Sunday Star Times is blaming politicians and Facebook for declining trust. And apparently it's because people don't like their worldview being rejected. No, Sunday Star Times, it's nothing to do with uncomfortable journalism. We just want professional journalism. And we want to be not told how to think. Just report the news. Both sides balanced. It's very simple. While I was away, obviously Winston Peters announced that we weren't going to recognise a Palestinian state because that would be rewarding Hamas. And of course, everybody piled on Christopher Luxon, the Prime Minister, because of this. The left-wing media certainly did. John Campbell certainly did. And I did tweet this, and I just want to put this question past you. Which of these New Zealand Prime Ministers recognised Palestine as a separate state? Longy, Palmer, Mike Moore, Jim Bolger, Jenny Shipley, Helen Clark, John Key, Bill English, Jacinda Ardern, Chris Hipkins. Which of those? Yep, that's right, none of them. Why? Because you don't reward terrorism and you don't reward Hamas. But that's okay. Let's do the pile onto Chris Hipkins. The media also, I did laugh at this one while I was away. The New Zealand Herald editorial was concerned about the enhanced games. Now, the enhanced games are basically kind of like the Olympics, but there's no limit on drug use for performance enhancing. And so the editorial in the New Zealand Herald was role models, not drugs, should enhance sport. Now, I don't know if you see the irony in that, but this is the same New Zealand Herald who were championing transgender weightlifter Laurel Hubbard with lots of articles. And now they're suddenly concerned that drugs are not good role models and put out this very concerned role models, not drugs, should enhance sport. Remember that during the transgender and sports debate, New Zealand Herald are tripping themselves up in their hypocrisy. Time magazine recognised Te Pāti Māori MP Hana Rafferty Maipi Clark for doing that haka in Parliament. One of the world's most influential rising stars. I was going to check to see if Erica Kirk was on that list in Time magazine, but I did want to remind the media yesterday that while they're crowing about Time magazine recognising Hana Rafferty, that Time magazine also gave Donald Trump Person of the Year one year. So, yeah, maybe don't shout too loud. Look, I'm just about out of time. I do just want to cover this one, though. Netball New Zealand have sent out an email to all people involved with Netball New Zealand asking about the transgender regulations. They haven't quite figured out that the best way for netball to operate is to have a female section and, if necessary, a male section, and don't mix the two. And so they've got all these questions, and so we've just put out some guidelines for you. They talk about inclusion in netball. Well, netball is already inclusive. Anybody can play netball. You've just got to play in the section that aligns with your biological sex. And so, we've just responded. What approaches do you think are best for ensuring fairness and inclusion in netball? Well, base it on biology. That's our suggested answer, biological male and female. They also ask you, is there anything else you'd like to share about transgender inclusion in netball? Stick to biology, simple, fair and safe for all those involved. So, make sure you do fill that out and tell Netball New Zealand to get back to biology. Hopefully Raylene Castle isn't involved in that. I am out of time. Look, let me just cover a couple of other things, and I will come back to some of the stories I wanted to cover, including the boycott of Netflix that's happening at the moment. So we'll cover that on Wednesday. But just very excited. we've passed the 500,000 views mark on the Israel and Maria Folau interview. Have you watched it yet? Go to our website. But very exciting this week because we are releasing the testimonies of detransitioner Zara and also Kiwi detransitioner Issy. Both of them spoke at the Forum on the Family. It was a powerful section of the conference, and we are releasing their testimonies in full. So watch out for that release. Wow, I really have run out of time. I wanted to talk about the new Archbishop of Canterbury as well and the Anglican. You thought the UK was in trouble. Wait till you hear the views of the new Archbishop of Canterbury. I will come back to that on Wednesday morning, so make sure you tune in. Tonight, Straight Talk. We've got Brendan, Rodney, Mel and Michael. Two interesting things we're going to talk about amongst a number of topics, and that is, should the person who assassinated Charlie Kirk get the death penalty? And the other issue that I wanted to cover with the panel is, should churches stop live streaming? We did it during COVID, obviously, for good reason. But are we actually penalising people by letting them stay at home in their pajamas rather than attending church in person? So there's an interesting little debate that we're going to have tonight, and you may have some views. So that's Straight Talk tonight at 8 o'clock. Anyway, as I said, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel so that you get those little alerts when we do come live. I am out of time, haven't got time to go through all the comments that are coming through, but nice to have you back on board. It's nice to be back in the hot seat again. Solid ground, no solid ground tomorrow because, as you can see, Simon O'Connor is travelling at a conference at the moment on religious freedom, so very important. But Wednesday, I'll be back for Daybreak. So until then, have a great Monday.